Women who have a high sex drive do this. Ever found yourself wondering if that woman that you are crushing on or just started dating might have a high sex drive? Well, wonder no more, guys, because we are about to dive into the captivating world of female desire. And I'm going to spill the tea on the signs that reveals that she has a high sex drive. So get ready to uncover some insider secrets that will give you a fresh perspective. Now remember, every woman is an individual with her own unique behaviors and characteristics. So while these signs can be helpful indicators, they shouldn't be used as definitive answers on their own. Instead, consider them pieces of a puzzle. And the more pieces you gather, the clearer the picture becomes. The more signs you spot, the higher the likelihood is. So let's dive in and start collecting those clues, shall we? The frequent initiator. So who is starting the flirting? Let's kick this off with our first point, and it's all about who initiates the flirting. Ever noticed her initiating the conversations, breaking the ice with jokes, or even coyly complimenting you? Well, my friends, psychologists say that a woman who often instigates flirty banter could potentially have a high sex drive. Now remember, it's not a foolproof sign, but if she's the one making the first move and sliding into your DMs more often than not, you might just be onto something. Openness about sex. Oh, she's not shy about her preferences. Now let's move on to our next sign, how open she is about discussing sex. Now women with a high sex drive tend to be more upfront about their preferences in the bedroom and aren't afraid to communicate what they want. So if she's making unblushing remarks about her likes and dislikes in bed, chances are she's got a pretty robust sexual appetite. Experts agree that open and candid conversations about sex correlates with a high sex drive. But remember, it's all about the context, gents. So openness in a respectful and consensual conversation is the key here. Engaging in sexual humor. Does she chuckle in the bedroom? Ever notice how she laughs at those slightly risque jokes? Women with a high sex drive often engage in sexual humor, finding amusement in jokes that others might consider off-topic or slightly naughty. Why? Well, because psychologists say that laughter and sexuality are surprisingly linked, with a healthy sense of humor often suggesting a healthy sex drive. So if she's chuckling at your cheeky innuendos, it could be more than just her funny bone that you are tickling. Liberated sexual attitudes. Taboo isn't in her dictionary. Next up, let's talk about attitude, specifically a liberated attitude towards sex. If she openly embraces and discusses sexuality without an ounce of awkwardness or inhibition, you may have found another sign. Experts agree that liberated sexual attitudes are a telltale sign of a high sex drive in women. If the word taboo seems to be missing from her vocabulary, she could be signaling a robust desire. But remember, openness doesn't equate to consent, so make sure every conversation and action is mutual and respectful. Regular seductive gestures, spotting those come hither looks. Next up, we've got those captivating come hither looks. A woman with a high sex drive may often throw seductive glances your way. Now, these aren't just your everyday friendly smiles. We're talking about that certain twinkle in her eye, the lingering gaze that speaks volumes without saying a word. Psychologists suggest that regular seductive gestures can be a clear indication of high sexual desire. So keep your eyes peeled for these, and you might just discover something new about her drive. Expressing physical affection. Is she getting a little touchy? Now let's talk about physical affection. If a woman is more touchy-feely than usual, this could be another indicator of a high sex drive. Now we're not just talking about the obvious touchy moments. It could be a subtle brush of her hand against your arm, or the way that she leans in closer to you during a conversation. Studies show that women with a high sex drive often express themselves physically, but be sure to read the room, guys. Consent and comfort should always be your guiding principles. Frequent sexual fantasies. Does her mind seem to take a scenic route? Psychologists suggest that women with high sex drives often have a rich tapestry of fantasies. So if she openly shares that her mind often takes detours into steamy daydreams, it's a solid hint. It's her inner world that we are talking about here, gentlemen, and it's an honor to be invited in. Remember, these aren't just your run-of-the-mill dreams, so if she's sharing, Make sure you're a good listener. Highly responsive to your touch. Does she melt like butter in your hands? Moving on, let's discuss physical responsiveness. If a woman is highly responsive to your touch, melting under your hand, it's another clear indicator. The response can be as subtle as a soft sigh or a goosebump, or as obvious as a passionate embrace. Studies show that women with a high sex drive are often more responsive to physical affection, but guys, always make sure your advances are welcomed and reciprocated. It's about connecting, not rushing. Passionate kissing. It's more than just a peck on the lips. Let's talk about kissing, and not just your everyday goodbye peck, but passionate, sparks flying kind of kissing. Women with a high sex drive often express their desire through passionate kisses. If she's leaning in for those breathtaking, toe-curling kisses, you are likely dealing with a woman who has a high sex drive. Psychologists point out that the intensity of a woman's kissing can often indicate her sexual desire. Interest in erotica. Is she a devotee of passionate prose? The next telltale sign, a keen interest in erotica. Does she have a collection of sizzling novels tucked away on her bookshelf? Or perhaps an e-reader full of passionate prose? Psychologists suggest that women who enjoy reading erotica often have a high sex drive. So if she is an avid reader of those racy narratives, she might be channeling her own sexual energy. But remember guys, literature is just one avenue for exploring desire. Her interest signals openness, not an expectation for reenactment. Excited by risky scenarios, public places, and surprise dates. Next, let's delve into the thrilling world of risky scenarios. If she gets a rush from spontaneous dates or a hint of excitement at the thought of making out in a semi-public place, this could indicate a high sex drive. Experts agree that an element of risk or spontaneity can spike adrenaline levels, which in turn can amplify sexual desire. But a word to the wise, always ensure you are both comfortable with behaving within the bounds of the law. Bold wardrobe choices. Does she delight in flaunting her sensual side? Next, we come to wardrobe choices. A woman with a high sex drive might love showing her sensual side, which can be reflected in bold and confident outfit selections. Now, don't mistake this for dressing provocatively. It's about expressing her confidence and owning her sexuality. Experts point out that how a woman presents herself can often be a mirror of her libido. But remember, gents, appreciate her style but respect her space. Her dressing style is a form of self-expression, not an invitation. Comfortable nudity, totally at ease in her skin. Is she at ease lounging around in her skin, free from the constraints of clothing? Psychologists suggest that comfort with nudity often correlates with a high sex drive. It's all about body confidence and self-love. So if she's comfortable flaunting her natural self, you could be dealing with a lady who has a high sexual desire. Remember though, this is a display of confidence and trust, so respect and appreciation are key. Regularly proposes intimate encounters. Is her calendar full of romance? Moving on, let's talk about scheduling. If she's often the one proposing intimate encounters, it might hint at a high sex drive. A woman who makes an active effort to keep her calendar full of love understands her needs and isn't afraid to pursue them. But remember guys, balance is essential. Be sure to do your part in initiating intimate moments as well. It's a two-way street after all. Passionate discussions about sexual health. She knows her body inside out. Next up, we have discussions about sexual health. If she's knowledgeable about her body and isn't shy to discuss sexual health topics, it could indicate a high sex drive. It's not just about passion, but also about health and safety. Experts agree that open and informed conversations about sexual health often go hand in hand with a high sex drive. High energy levels. Is she always ready for some loving? Now let's discuss energy levels. High sex drive often translates into high energy levels, especially when it comes to romantic encounters. If she's never too tired for some loving, you may have stumbled upon another sign. Studies show a correlation between high energy levels and an active libido, but it's essential to bear in mind that not every energetic woman has a high sex drive, just like not every relaxed woman has a low one. It's about reading the signs in their totality, guys. Eagerness for new experiences. She's an adventurer in and out of the bedroom. Next, we look at her sense of adventure. A woman with a high sex drive typically has an eagerness for new experiences. Now, we're not just talking about trying out a new restaurant or going for a hike. This adventurous spirit extends to the bedroom as well. If she's keen on exploring new territories of intimacy and excitement, it could suggest a healthy sexual appetite. Experts agree an adventurous personality often corresponds to a high sex drive. Active interest in your fantasies, ready to make your dreams come true. Does she show an active interest in your fantasies, wanting to know and fulfill them? This might be one of the most revealing signs. Women with a high sex drive often show a keen interest in their partner's fantasies. If she's eager to bring your wildest dreams to life, it's a clear indication of her own drive. Remember, communication is the heart of any strong sexual relationship, so be open, respectful, and considerate in return. Enjoys the physical afterglow. Does she revel in post-sex satisfaction? That's right. How she behaves after sex can be just as telling as what happens during. Does she bask in the satisfaction, laying entangled in the sheets? The hint of a satisfied smile playing on her lips? Studies show that women with a high sex drive often relish the physical afterglow of sex. This lingering satisfaction can be just as important as the act itself, and guys, basking in the afterglow is a two-way game, so make sure you're there to enjoy it with her. We've just wrapped up signs a woman has a high sex drive. Now, are you ready to discover the signs that she's longing for intimacy or her favourite spots for sensual touch? Click on one to delve deeper. Don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more.